here's your host, Alex Garrett.
And once again, back at the Alex Garrett podcast desk, I am joined by Ryan Pagano. Ryan, you've got an update on Rex Heuermann and your hometown of Massapequa. Thanks for joining again.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me the chance to call in, Alex. I really appreciate it.
Tell us what's going on.
Well, very overcast Thursday here in Massapequa Park, that surrounding area, but we do have some more updates with the Heuermann case. So his, I guess you could say, soon-to-be former wife, Asa Ellerup, visited her soon-to-be ex-husband in the Suffolk County Jail for the first time yesterday. Her divorce attorney confirmed that to the media yesterday and early this morning, and a lot of media attention surrounding that now. Not every day where you have choppers in the sky in Massapequa Park, but yes, there were choppers above the Heuermann home early this morning, and I have spoken to a couple people that I know living in the area. They have confirmed that it is a News 12 helicopter circling throughout the neighborhood, I presume trying to get shots of either the home or Asa potentially leaving her home to go to the Suffolk County Jail once more to visit her ex-husband. But definitely is very notable that this is taking place during the middle of the divorce hearings between Rex Heuermann and Asa Ellerup. Heuermann saying that he is not at all going to contest the divorce. So a lot of details still ongoing, but some more notable developments taking place in these past 24 hours, Alex.
Well, thanks for being on the ground with us about this, because obviously it's one of those things that, you can't take your eye off of. Now, Suffolk County had a big win with Ed Romaine. Is that going to impact this case at all, or even maybe have a result that everybody wants to see, which is him in jail for life?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what everybody wants. And not to mention he's got another alleged murder on his hands, too. Now, that has still yet to be confirmed if he was the one that actually committed more murders than we would have imagined back in July when this whole story broke and Rex was arrested at his house in Massapequa Park. We don't know that for certain. So, we have, as much as I hate to say it, sometimes we have to presume that he is innocent of that murder until he is proven guilty. But either way, it is very damning considering what he already did. But you also got to consider, Alex, the fact that this case took 13 years to crack, and there was some alleged corruption in the Suffolk County government around that time. And it is important to note, too, Steve Ballone serving for 12 years in his position as the Suffolk County executive. Now, whether or not he was directly involved in it, who really knows at this point? We don't know his direct involvement with the case, but it is noteworthy that there have been a few executives with the Suffolk County Police Department that have allegedly tampered with that case. And, that's one of the reasons why it took 13 years to finally have an answer to this case, as opposed to it being solved much sooner.
What are your thoughts, real fast, while I have you, that Rodney Harrison had actually resigned from Suffolk County's police department as commissioner? What does that tell you?
I mean, it's definitely a very interesting development for sure. And, definitely some interesting fallout potentially to come from this case. Definitely very interesting for sure. Now, I'm not a Suffolk County resident myself, but, I have a lot of family members that do live in the county, so they're, of course, directly affected by it. Not to mention, I go to Suffolk County a good amount as well, whether it's for work-related things or on my personal time. But either way, Massapequa being very close to the Suffolk County border, a lot of Massapequans go there a good amount for their personal lives or for work. So it definitely is very noteworthy that their police commissioner is stepping down after this. And it's a pretty telling sign of where the department wants to move forward after this. I mean, it's just really tough to ignore all the damning evidence that the department has against them. And unfortunately for Rodney Harrison, it's just merely collateral, if anything. But I'm definitely very interested to see how the department is going to proceed on and try to, cover themselves as they continue to deal with the fallout of the Heuermann case.
Ryan, one last thing. This non-contested divorce, is that Heuermann admitting guilt in some way, or what are you thinking?
I would definitely say so, yeah. I mean, Asa Ellerup only announcing the divorce just a couple days after Rex got arrested. And, normally if you're trying to contest that sort of thing, you immediately say that you're contesting the divorce. But by him basically just allowing his ex-wife to proceed on with these divorce proceedings, it definitely does show a little bit of guilt. And, Rex probably won't admit that, but, it's just very easy to see through if you've, studied this case and just studied the whole 13-year timeline of these killings. I mean, it's so easy to put two and two together with this, but yeah, I mean,
one last thing before I let
doesn't
you
take
go.
a genius to figure out.
You had that big luncheon, you got the award. Tell us about that real fast, because we haven't had you on since then.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of folks over there at the Chelsea Pier. Let's just say it was a very fun, rainy day, considering that this was the same day where New York City got all the big flooding. Most, if not all, the subway lines there were either delayed heavily, canceled to some extent. It was a day of hell, you could say. My A train took 10 minutes to go one stop. It was very nightmarish, but nonetheless, wasn't really going to stop me. Wasn't going to stop anybody else there from obtaining a lot of hardware. So, regardless of the weather conditions out there, still was a heck of a day to not only receive that award, but also be in the company of so many big folks in the New York radio scene, particularly John Catsimatidis, who gave the first speech at the awards, and also not too long after his interview with President Bill Clinton, which aired on the Cats Roundtable, a 40 or so minute conversation with him, which was very eye-opening for sure, caught a lot of attention there. He even previewed it in one of his speeches too, but WABC taking home a lot of hardware, that's for sure. John speaking at the ceremony, Sid Rosenberg, among a couple others, and Frank Morano as well. A lot of their on-air talent speaking on behalf of them. So, props to them for cleaning up at those awards, and props to everybody else too for winning their respective awards. It's something that I wouldn't take for granted, to be in the company of all these big radio folks, and it definitely was an honor to speak in front of them for sure.
Well, Ryan, thanks for this update, and thanks for your live update as well on the Alex Garrett Podcast Network. Come back soon.
Definitely will. Thank you, Alex.
All right, that's been Ryan Pagano, one of my colleagues here at AM 970, and a huge proponent, a huge participant at WRHU, and on the ground with us with the Heuermann case through it all. Thanks again, Ryan, and we'll talk to you soon on the Alex Garrett Podcast Network.
All right, glad I was able to provide that little update for you. Thank you, Alex.
Ryan, thank you so much. And before we end today's episode of the One Leg Up feature, I've got to say, what I'm seeing on social media with the ripping down of posters of those missing is completely anti-Semitic. Let me say that again. If you're ripping down posters of those kidnapped by Hamas that are of Jewish descent, that is an act of anti-Semitism. I know I voiced this displeasure with the pro-Palestine movement because I don't think it's pro-Palestinian people. I think it's anti-Semitic. I think it's anti-state of Israel. I think it's wanting to eradicate the Israeli people, to be very honest with you. When you march the streets of New York calling for a quote-unquote free Palestine. I know that the Israelis have now agreed to 4-hour daily pauses, but what can Hamas do in those 4 hours? And it's really sad that Israel has sort of come to a agreement on this, because I don't believe Hamas is going to stop in that 4-hour period. I really don't. And it has to be said that those in New York City right now ripping down posters are adding to the anti-Semitism and should be fired. And I'm proud of those that are getting the poster rippers on video, getting their faces on camera, because they should be exposed for that kind of hatred. But we're not attacking anybody. Oh, really? Really? That's why I saw today when I looked on my Instagram, a woman confronted an anti-Israel poster ripper, and the poster ripper assaulted a Jewish woman. In fact, 4 young men police are seeking right now for drawing swastikas and the word Hamas. So when you say hate crimes on one side, please report something like this, where 4 young men are being sought out for drawing swastikas and the word Hamas. Then a 41-year-old woman verbally confronted 2 unknown females for ripping down posters of hostages held by Hamas, all reported by the ILoveTheUpperWestSide Instagram. The 2 females began to physically assault the victim, forcibly ripping off her Star of David necklace that was around her neck. That's peaceful? That's loving? That's free Palestine? No, that's just anti-Semitic. That's anti-Jewish. And here on the Alex Garrett podcast, we will not tolerate poster rippers. We will not tolerate those being assaulted for speaking up on behalf of the Jewish people that are Jewish. Even those that are not Jewish but defending the Jewish people, we should support them as well when they confront anti-Semites. So I'm done being nice about this. I'm done not trying to call everybody out. But when it's becoming more and more evident that the anti-Semitism with these posters being ripped down doesn't stop, we must stop it by voicing our displeasure and by asking those who see the poster rippers, video them, get them on tape, get their face on camera so they can be fired. We cannot tolerate this kind of anti-Semitism on the Alex Garrett Podcast Network.